Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Maddie. If you're new here, I hope your day's going well. And I can't move my head a lot because these, whatever the fuck I decided to do on my head, will probably fall out because there's a billion bobby pins in them. So today we're going to be doing my November wrap up. It is actually the 26th of November right now, so I am filming this a little early, but I decided to go ahead and do that because I am doing NaNoWriMo right now, so I don't think I'm going to read anything else for the next 4 days because I still have to finish the novel. So I probably won't be reading a lot, so I decided to do this now, and also I have some big life changes coming up in December, so I'm not going to be spending a lot of time filming, much less reading, so I thought I'd just get this done now so you guys know what I read in November before I move, because that's what I'm doing in December. I'm moving. So in the month of November I read 12 things, which actually is a lot more than I expected. I thought I read like 2 things, but I read 12 and I have some interesting thoughts on them, so I wanted to go ahead and dive right into those books. I had some pretty decent reads, and then there was some reads that kind of bored the shit out of me, so it's basically like every month ever. So let's just go ahead and get into the books, shall we? As always, I will be starting with the graphic novels that I read in the month of November. And the first graphic novel I read was Giant Days Volume 8. This is about 3 college age girls who are, you know, living together as they go to college, and it's about their adventures, and it's just so wholesome and so sweet, and I always enjoy every single volume. Like, this is one of those series that it doesn't matter how long ago you read the last volume, each volume is just really well done. Every time. I highly recommend it. It's so much fun. Moving on, the next graphic novel that I read was Bingo Love, which fucking made me cry. 5 out of 5 stars. This is about a older woman who reunites with her like true love at bingo, of all places. I think it's been a minute since I read it, but it definitely made me feel a lot of the things, and I was not prepared for that, but it was so cute, so good, very, very short. Please go out and read it. It's adorable. Then I read Goldie Vance Volume 4. This is about a girl who is a valet but also a detective at a hotel, and it's set in the 1950s-ish, but it's very gay and I love it and it's adorable. There's mysteries, and this was another installment in the series that I thoroughly enjoyed. 5 out of 5 stars. And then recently I did read Fence, which is the first volume in a series that I'm already obsessed with. This is about a boy who is on a scholarship for fencing, and he finds out that his like arch nemesis of fencing happens to be his roommate.
Oh my god, they're roommates.
Hella gay, super cute, I'm obsessed. I need the next volume now, but it comes out in January, so that's a thing. You guys should get on these graphic novels because they were my favorite parts of the month, let's be real. And then I read 4 teen novels, 2 of them being by Leigh Bardugo. I read Siege and Storm and Ruin and Rising. I finally finished the fucking Grisha series, guys. I know, it's been a minute. I know a lot of people are talking about this series because of King of Scars coming out in January, and I wanted to finally be done with the series. I read Shadow and Bone before I read Six of Crows, and it was just like Shadow and Bone itself wasn't a letdown, but then I read Six of Crows and I was like, oh my god, this is fucking amazeballs. And I can definitely say that Siege and Storm and Ruin and Rising are better than Shadow and Bone itself, but I feel like there's a lot of like things that people complain about when it comes to the Grisha trilogy itself, and mostly it has to do with the Darkling. So if you haven't read the series, maybe skip this part, so when the picture goes away you can unmute the video, or you know, just skip until the picture's gone. I don't know. I'm gonna be talking about this series, so if you don't fucking care, skip this part. Or, you know, if you don't want spoilers, skip this part. You get what I'm saying? Basically, a lot of people seem to say that, like, the Darkling could have been, like, done better, like, Alina deserved better because she ends up with a certain character. But, like, I honestly got to the end of the series and was completely satisfied. I really liked all of them. I think I gave Siege and Storm 5 stars, and then I gave Ruin and Rising 4.5 stars. I thoroughly enjoyed them. I think that they did a really good job of wrapping up the series really well. I love the introduction of Nikolai, but I don't feel like the way Alina's story ended was wrong or done poorly. I honestly loved it. I really did. I thought that her relationship with Mal grew in ways that was really interesting, and I definitely enjoyed the Darkling's ability to like see her and her to see him. That is definitely something I was trash for. But the Darkling was the bad guy. Like, she wasn't gonna end up with the bad guy. That's how bad guys work, guys. Like, no, he's a murderer. Like, fuck no. No. But yeah, so I ended up really liking the end of it. I definitely am so fucking excited for King of Scars because Nikolai is my baby and I am a white man's whore and it's Nikolai. Nikolai Lanzov is amazing. So that's a thing. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I definitely don't really understand why everyone doesn't like Mal. He is whiny. He's kind of a bitch. But I understand why that was the end of the series, basically. I don't have any arguments against or for that at all. I just understand why that's the way it ended. Moving on. And then the next teen book that I read in November was The Last Namsara by Kristen. I don't know how to say her last name, so I'm not even gonna try. So this book is about a dragon slayer. It was a little weird. It's set in a kind of Arabian-esque world, but there's dragons and you can feed them stories, but that's dangerous. And there's slaves, and there was kind of a slave-master relationship, which I was into, but like not into at the same time. I don't know. I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed some of it, but the world building was very strange and there was just not enough dragons. Like, the dragon part wasn't really the prevalent plot points. It was more about the political intrigue, which I'm all for political intrigue, but if you're gonna put dragons in a fucking book, make it about the dragons. Make the dragons interesting. Don't just write them in and then write them out once they're done serving your purpose. I don't know. That's just me. And the only book that I read in the month of November that I actually fucking own is Wildcard by Marie Lu. This is the sequel to Warcross. Warcross is about Amika, who is a hacker, and she plays the game Warcross, and she's really fucking good at it. This book I enjoyed. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It did not blow me out of the water like Warcross did, though. It was interesting. There was definitely one point in the middle of the book where I was like, oh, it'd be like that sometimes, when it really is never like what happened in this book ever sometimes. But yeah, so I enjoyed it. Some things took me by surprise. A lot of other things were really predictable, but I liked it and would highly recommend the series to anybody who wants virtual reality that's better than Ready Player One. Just saying. Moving on, I read a total of 4 adult books in the month of November. I actually read probably quite a few more. I have been really invested in this whole listen to audiobooks thing, and I just listen to smutty romances, but I sometimes just skip through them to the good bits, if you know what I'm saying. So I don't count all of them, but I did read a few that I want to talk to you about. But I'm going to start first with the only adult fantasy novel that I read in the month of November, which was God Save the Queen by Kate Locke. This was a really interesting novel. It is kind of steampunk alternate history where the main character is a vampire hybrid, and like vampirism and werewolf, lycanthropy, stuff like that, goblins. It's all kind of like a blood-related disease thing, and it was fun, but it was written in like 2012, and I know that wasn't really that long ago, but I just felt like the writing was so dated that it just bothered me so much. And then the main love interest was just not interesting to me, and I didn't give a shit about the characters, didn't really give a shit about the plot, but it had some smut, so that was fun, so. Otherwise, I think I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. It was fun, but it just wasn't memorable to me. Moving on, the 2 books that I really want to talk about when it comes to my intense audiobook smutty world now. I read 2 books out of the Stage Dive series. I read these because I know Chelsea and Julie really like them, but I hated them. I did not like them. And let me be clear, I have been reading romance novels for my entire, not my entire reading life. I started reading romance novels when I was in high school, and I read a lot of romance novels, and then I stopped reading them, and then I've gone back into them, and a lot of them have problematic content. Fat shaming, slut shaming, female hatred, just fucking hatred, and the men in these books they tend to be territorial alpha possessive freaks. Like 50 Shades of Grey kind of made it commonplace where the men just fucking suck. That's okay in some instances. In these 2 instances, I did not like it. So I read Play and I read Deep. Play is number 2 in the series and Deep is number 4. I just downloaded whichever ones were available because I know that you don't have to read them in order, or at least I assumed you don't have to read them in order because they don't take they're not about the same characters each time. And play was the one that I had the most issues with. The love interest in this book was so fucking annoying. He drove me literally insane. He was like a puppy dog. He made the main character mother him. Like, he just had no self-control, and it was really disgusting to me, and I did not like it. The sex parts were okay, but like at the same time, I just kind of hate finished the book because I just couldn't understand why he was attractive to the main character or people that have read it. But yeah, I gave that book 1 star. I did follow it up with Deep, which is another couple in the world of stage dive. And I liked it better by a little bit, mostly because there was a problematic element right out the gate where it took the youngest character in the group of characters and got her pregnant in the like at the beginning of the book. She's pregnant, and she's very young. She's like 21 comparatively to everybody else who's like 26, 27 in the book, and she's got a very bright career as she's going to school to be a psychologist. And I was really worried that that was going to become a not great, and it actually took a good turn. There was a lot of relationship building between the two. The guy that she had slept with didn't want to be a dad and basically straight up told her that, which I thought was really interesting as an honesty perspective. And they definitely built a bond between them, but then there were other things that just didn't really work for me, so I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed it a little bit. I thought it handled the pregnancy thing okay, could have been worse, could have been a lot better, but you know, that's where I'm at with it. I will not probably be reading anything else by Kylie Scott because I dislike her writing style and her main characters quite a bit. And then the last book that we're going to be talking about in this wrap-up is Wallbanger by Alice Clayton. I'm only talking to you guys about this because I DNF'd this book at like 95% because I was so fucking angry. A book called Wallbanger with a fucking cover like this should have wallbanging in it, right? Not what happens at all. This book obviously has a slow burn romance, and I don't mind slow burn romances, but they're not my favorite. Like, I'd like sex earlier in the book if that's what I'm reading the book for, and that's what I was reading this book for. And then the way this author personified the main character's orgasm, like legitimately, the author has a straight up scene within a smut scene about how the main character jumps off a cliff to chase after her orgasm, who is apparently a redheaded woman, by the way, which is very strange because the main character, nor any other characters I remember in the book, was a redhead. So I don't know why her orgasm was a redhead, but it's just like in the middle of a scene, you personify a biological like reaction as a person. It just took me out of the book a lot, and it just freaked me out. It was not cool. It otherwise would have been a pretty interesting read. But I did not like that at all. And also, like, it's called Wallbanger. There should be wall banging. There was not enough wall banging. So, end of that rant. I'm gonna end this video now because otherwise we're gonna be here all goddamn day. So that was my November wrap up. Please leave down below any books that you would like me to read that you read during the month, or if you have any ranty rants, please leave them in the comments below. I'm gonna go now, guys. Like, subscribe, all the good stuff. Bye!